In the early 1990s, John Sampson White, the curator of the Smithsonian, retired. He had been at the Smithsonian Gem and Minerals collection for 30 years. This is the guy who curated the Hope Diamond, carrying it across the street in a brown paper bag. He gives me a call and wanted to know if he could represent us in the world's largest gem and mineral show in Germany. And needless to say, this is an honor for a man with 30 years of contacts at the world's most prestigious gem and mineral museum to retire and then ask us to, if he could represent us in the world's largest gem and mineral show. It was a great honor. And he wrote an article, of course, and it's in German. The only thing you can read is Ben Clement and Kentucky and Illinois, and the rest of it is in German. But indeed it was an honor for us. My father collected hundreds of photos. We have about 600 or more from the 1890s all the way up through the 1940s. And this is just an example. He knew he was making history, and so he documented it in many ways. Here's a photograph, and this is his baby overland vehicle. This is a rescue operation at the Hudson Mine. 6 miners were trapped down there for a week, and no one knew for certain that they were even alive. But the community poured out, and the rescue effort was successful. They all came out alive. And so this is just a historic moment. Now, my father, it wasn't his mine, but nevertheless, everybody came together to help get these guys out. I mentioned earlier that the crystals were accidental finds among the regular ore bodies of fluorite. And some of the crystals were so absolutely optically pure and clear that my father took the pieces, and the examples are right here, and he sent these crystals to Germany, Eider Oberstein, where the Wild family, spelled W-I-L-D-E, the Wild family, a dynasty of gems carvers. That family faceted for the czars, the Russian czars. He had them faceted into gemstones. Now, fluorite is too soft to actually be worn, but nevertheless, it's extraordinarily beautiful. So you can see the range of colors of fluorite on here, the purple and the shades of blue and the green and the yellow. What you're looking at here is what's called a floater. This thing has been called the bird because it's in the shape of a bird. This thing is crystallized all the way around. All crystals grow from a point of origin, usually on a matrix of some rock material, and they grow to a terminus, which is usually the point furthest away from where the origin of the crystal. But what's unusual about this one is that it appears to float, and that it's crystallized all the way around. It's a very, very rare, very unique piece, and a very beautiful one as well. During the last ice age, a glacier picked up this from Michigan. This is a piece of copper, and it picked it up there in the Michigan area when it was scooping out the Great Lakes, and deposited it in southern Illinois. So this is quite a piece of history here. It's 68 years. It weighs 68 pounds. This piece has a very flashy surface to it, and the crystals, when they grew exceedingly refined. Fluorite grows in a cube, and these cubes will actually slice your finger, even though they're at 90-degree angles. The sharpness of these crystals will absolutely lacerate you. So when you wash it, you have to be very, very careful. We'll talk about the origin of fluorite. Fluorine itself is the most active of the elements. There were violent upheaval in the Earth's crust in this particular area, and escaping gases and liquids from the magma would find their course up through limestone. Limestone is a result of sea life, of microscopic and larger crustaceans, shells forming the limestone itself. And when these gases were escaping, the fluorine in particular, it came in contact with the limestone. And the result are these beautiful crystals that you're seeing. This is the result of fluorine and lime, the calcium and the limestone coming together and making calcium fluoride. So what fluorspar, the trade name, fluorite, the mineral, actually is a combination of calcium and fluorine. I'll talk to you first about table salt. If you look at salt underneath a magnifying glass, you'll find out that regular old table salt is cubic in design. And when you crush salt, it remains cubic because the shape of the molecule is actually cubic. These crystals here are of galena, of lead. And if you notice, there's some giant cubes of lead here. And also, if you look, this specimen here has what's known as octahedrons of lead, just perfectly formed octahedrons of galena. And if you go back and look at the cubes here, you will find that there are octahedrons of lead on this lead cubes, and it's also dusted with iron pyrite. These are some extraordinarily beautiful pieces. Now, we saw where fluorite grows as a cube, but the shape of the molecule is not cubic. The shape of a molecule of fluorite is actually octahedral. And if you look at these specimens here, these are actually cubes of fluorite that have been hit with a chisel and made into the shape of the actual molecule. When the miners found out early on that if you take a chisel and hit the corner of a cube of fluorite, that it will go off into a perfect equilateral triangle. If you knock off all 8 corners of the cube of fluorite, you get the shape of the molecule, which is octahedral. The most proliferate mineral on the surface of the earth is silica. And silica, when it crystallizes, forms quartz. Quartz is 7 on the scale of hardness. It comes in a variety of colors. You'll see amethyst, and there's smoky quartz, and then this, of course, is white quartz. It was discovered that the silica could also produce a metallic object known as silicon. And what silicon is, we've become familiar with it. It has the ability, when the sun's rays hit it, to generate electricity. It was found that voltage could actually be identified, recognized, determined by sun's rays hitting the silica. And the idea that a metal could come from a mineral such as this is incredible and one of the many wonders of science. What you're looking at is a piece of silica, and this material made into displays on spacecraft enables many of the instruments to run, not only of Hubble, but of lunar rovers and all manner of devices that are in orbit around Mars and on the ground there as well. They're all solar powered, and it's the stuff right here, silica, which comes from quartz. What you're looking at is a remnant from my father and mother's honeymoon. She married him after only knowing him for 30 days. It was the first and only marriage for both of them. If she did not know what she was married to at the time of her marriage, she certainly knew by the time she returned from the honeymoon, because he collected stuff between here and the West Coast and shipped it back by train. So a lot of what you see in this museum has come from their honeymoon as well. This is one of the first pieces that my father collected. This is 1919 Holly Mine vein number 1 material. This is one of them that was sent up to be crushed from the depths of the earth, and that he had picked off the conveyor belt. It's just a beautiful, beautiful crystal, and one of which that inspired him. Here's a display of the octahedrons of fluorite. You can see the wonderful variety of colors and examples of the clarity of some of the crystals. Some of those in there actually could have been faceted into gemstones. What you're looking at is the corner of a cube that has been knocked off, either by accident or the curation of man. But it kind of gives you a glimpse into the soul of the specimen there. You can look in, and it's amazing what a little bit of light can do. What you're looking at is a chunk of limonite ore here. This is where we get iron ore from. This is iron ore. This is what it looks like, just a rusty chunk of rock. And what you're looking at here is from the 1750s in the area which is now called Land Between the Lakes. At the time it was Land Between the Rivers. There was a large iron ore deposit there. There was coal, and there was also extensive forest. And so the forest and the coal were consumed in the making of the iron ore. And again, it was very tedious, very laborious, and very difficult to do. Particularly before fluorspar was used as a flux. It took an awful lot of heat and an awful lot of work to get this stuff to separate. And there's a piece of blue-green slag back there that was from those days as well. So you've got the iron ore, you've got the iron, and you've got the impurities of slag there in the background. What you're looking at here is a parallelepiped. It's an elongated cube of fluorspar, of fluorite. And in nature, it just simply grows in a cube, and to have a piece of fluorite that has grown in an elongated cube like this is exceedingly rare. This is the only one in all the collection that we have seen. And not only is it exceedingly rare, it's just a beautiful, beautiful specimen of a yellow inner workings with an overcast or phantom of blue fluorite on top of it. What you're looking at is a large geode quartz that is, because it's purple, and the way it was formed, it's referred to as amethyst here. On it are crystals of quartz. The white that's on that is quartz as well. In this particular case here, there's dinosaur manure, the large chunks of rock there to the left are dinosaur manure. And there's a big flashy piece of iron pyrite or fieldstone. And then another gemstones. What you're looking at are fluorescent minerals. These minerals have the ability to absorb an invisible wavelength ultraviolet rays and release them to the human eye in a visible wavelength. So I'll switch back and forth so you can see the difference.